I believe it was 5 separate craft.
That's some straight UFO shit right there.
That's when I started seeing all of the lights and the contact that I've been witnessing.
I just kept filming and looking up at the sky, and it just started happening more frequently.
Look, what is that? What is that? What was that?
Hi, this is ASDP ufologist Jody Brown from Arizona, and you are watching Alien Strand Podcast with host Donald Ledesma.
AlienStrand.com, the official website.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to this episode of Alien Strand Podcast. I'm your host, Donald Ledesma, and welcome to today's show. It's going to be a really interesting one today. Not going to be very long, but it's going to be a good one. You are following us right now on Instagram. Thank you. I see you watching out there. I appreciate that. We are live on X right now. We're live on Facebook. We're live on Tumblr. We're live on Twitter, and all those platforms. And actually, we are live on audio, man. So if you can't watch us today, it's okay. You can listen to us on audio, and you can catch us on 27 platforms. Right now, we are live on Spreaker, Spotify, and I believe iHeartRadio right now. So thank you guys for watching today. I got a lot of good things to talk about today. I just want to tell you guys, hey, Merry Christmas, because it's coming. It's coming. I hope you guys did all your shopping, all that good stuff that's coming along. And I'm going to be talking about some UFOs, some kind of interesting stuff today. I just wanted to bring it to your attention a little bit, and because I love doing these podcasts. It's to me, it's very informative, right? But please catch our podcast on Patreon. Download that app. You could be a paid subscriber, or you can actually get the free one. There's a free one there as well. You get a lot of information there as on our Patreon site. Go check that out. Now, I do have a podcast. My latest one is called Are We Alone? Go check that out. And, tell me what you think. It just talks about the universe, if we are by ourselves, or how, if you think we're alone, or or there's extraterrestrials or other things all over the place, right? Yeah, I believe there is. I don't think we're by ourselves, it's a possibility. But check out that podcast and tell me what you guys think of that. Now we're going to be getting some merch out for that, actually that Patreon. They're going to be getting some good stuff. Now the middle part 2, we're still waiting on it. Now it could take anywhere between 3 to, I just found out, 3 to almost 12 weeks before this thing is out on Amazon Prime. So it's okay. It might come out anytime in between that period. We're on our 3rd week. We're waiting on it for it to come out on Amazon Prime. Be looking out for our documentary. Now, we have an upcoming podcast. It's going to be here next Friday, 7 p.m. Central Time here, U.S., with Leslie and Stephen Shaw. So they have a book out, and it's called Who Are They? And they've been kind of doing, ufology and researching for about 20 years, and they wrote a book about it, and they're going to be on this podcast live next Friday, 7 p.m. Central Time. So check your calendars. Make sure you mark it down for that day. And they're going to be out here. We're going to be live on Instagram, live on all these platforms at the same time. All right. This is going to be a really good one. We're going to be talking about how these crafts operate and these little pilots that are inside of it. All right. So go check those out. And, it's going to be next Friday. Don't forget that. Also, and this is their book. It's called Who Are They and What They Are Up To, right? And their book is out right now. It's been out, I believe. So I'm gonna see if I can try to read as much of this as possible, and that way I can get a good grasp of their, what they have been researching and all that. Because I like to ask good questions. You have to ask good questions, and sometimes we know everything, sometimes we don't, but it's okay. They want to get their information out there because they've been doing research for at least 20 years. And, I want to get them on the show so that way we can talk about a lot of these things about their book and things like that. Now, we do have the middle part 1. It's on 10 live channels. If you can, go check that out. It's on Amazon Prime for $2.99 and Tubi TV for free, TCL for free. Also, okay, so we did have the middle on our YouTube channel. So if you go to Alien Strand Podcast, I took it off for a little bit, but you know what? I decided to put it back on for Christmas weekend. So if you guys want to watch it for free, you can go to our YouTube channel there. Check out our documentary there. Please like and subscribe. That's all we ask. And check out the film. Like I said, we have the middle. This is going to be the first one. And the middle part 2 will be coming out here in a few weeks. All right. So be looking out for that. But this is for free. So go check it out on our YouTube channel. All right. Also, the middle tetralogy, we're going to have part 2, part 3, and then part 4. Then it's done. All right. So I am working on part 3 as we speak on the editing. I do direct, I produce, and I edit all of these documentary films. So I hope you guys enjoy my work and the information that I'm putting out to you guys on all these folks that were involved and getting these, documenting their stories, right? Because that's what it's about, is documenting everything. Don't forget, catch us on Alien Strand Disclosure Project on Facebook. Go hit us up on that group. It's a private group, but make sure to answer all the questions, and we'll get you in if you want to be a studying ufologist, all right? I was just thinking about a lot of things that were happening out there, and I saw, some stories of the past, right? And I really like to dive into the stories of the past, only because there's, a lot of information out there that we don't get to see sometimes. And, we have this awesome person. Her name is Nancy Timms, right? And she, ever since I had her on my podcast, I follow her everywhere now, because she's like a little soldier out there, man, getting all the information out to everybody, as far as like ufology, past things that have happened in the past, right? And she's able to throw out a lot of information out there that I've never ever seen before. And it kind of gets me wondering sometimes, and she threw this article out, and it had to do with, with the KGB and UFOs, right? How there was this incident that happened back in 1993, if I'm not mistaken. Let me blow this up a little bit so you guys can see a little bit. So it does have an actual report there of exactly what happened to these on that day, right? So on that this is an incident of a UFO that was actually crashed down. It was actually shot down, I believe. And they were able to write a report on this and throw out, as much information on this as possible on this report, right? And it pretty much is just saying that it happened around, let's see when this report was done, on March 27, 1993. And it says, let's see. It says, according to the KGB materials, a quite low flying saucer spaceship in the shape of a saucer appeared above the military unit that was conducting routine training maneuvers at that time. So it says, for unknown reasons, somebody unexpectedly launched a surface-to-air missile and hit this UFO as it fell to Earth not far away. It says about 5 short humanoids with large heads, large black eyes, engaged from it, right? So I guess they came out of that, right? And it says, and it's stated in their testimonies that by 2 other soldiers who were who remained. They said they remained alive, and that after freeing themselves from the debris, the aliens came closer together and then merged into a single object that it said it was like a spherical shape. The object began to hiss, make a sound, right? And it says it was like a sharp sound, and then it was brilliantly white, and then in a few seconds, the spheres and these little extraterrestrials that were in this thing, they were in this ball apparently, right? And it says that the light was extremely bright. In that instant, 23 soldiers had watched this phenomenon turn into stone poles. Only 2 of the soldiers stood there in the shade, and where these lifeless, exposed to the luminous explosion, survived. So in other words, what it's trying to say here is that they were attacked, right? These people were actually, after they shot this thing down, these soldiers were attacked and they turned into stone. Like stone poles. And this is an actual, it's a report from the KGB. Now, I mean, I guess these extraterrestrials felt threatened in some kind of way, right? And it just kind of gets you thinking that, I mean, we never hear stories of how these little aliens or grays or extraterrestrials or whatever they are, that you never hear as many as when they attack somebody, right? Or they lunge at somebody after they've been shot down. Apparently this one did. This one actually fired back and was able to defend itself, and I believe it got away. So, but in return, a lot of these soldiers perished. They turned into stone. So, and I've heard this story before, long ago, and now I saw the report that's here, and it just shows what these extraterrestrials can do, or they are capable of doing to defend themselves, right? And it just kind of gets you wondering, like, wow. Just to see something like that, they shoot down this surface-to-air missile, just hits this craft, comes down, on the ground, and then they go and take off out there and go see what's going on. But as soon as they get there, these extraterrestrials come out of this craft, they come out of the debris, and then they're all come together into this ball of light. It rises in the air, and it starts shooting these beams at these soldiers, turning them into some kind of stone. Now, that in itself is almost unbelievable, right? I mean, it's hard to believe that incident, right? But those incidents do occur, and these are the things that are classified This is coming from the KGB. Now, it's not the United States. This is out there in Russia before it was Russia. So it's like the USSR. You know, they hid a lot of this information, these things that happened to these people back in the day. Now, you know, and that's my thing is like, why do they put a lot of this stuff in the back burner? Why do they hide a lot of these things from us as citizens? Well, I get it. You know, they don't want to scare you, right? Pretty much, they don't want to scare you, and it could be, you know, I mean, why not for these little guys defend themselves if they got shot down, you know, by accident? So they say, right? I have a feeling these the soldiers decided to shoot it down, and it wasn't by accident, you know. So, and of course, that incident occurred, you know, and there's a lot of things that happened, like with this other photo that you see here, in audio land. Now, of course, if you're not seeing this, it's just it's a craft that was caught by a bunch of people out there in Rio de Janeiro in Brazil, and they saw this craft hovering and went by, and everybody just shot photos and videos of this thing as it was going by. Now, and the people just kind of lost their minds when they saw this thing, right? So how do you not, you know, freak out when you see this kind of crap like this, right? I mean, to me, I mean, if you kind of look at it, there was another shot of this of a further distance, but I kind of blew it up a little bit because I wanted to see the details of this craft that was up there, right? But it was witnessed by a bunch of people, and they were able to kind of give a breakdown of the stories of what they saw, you know, at this actual, you know, encounter, because it was an encounter by a lot of these folks out there. They just like, oh my God, you know, I can't believe what we're seeing up in the sky. And well, like I tell a lot of folks, you know, sometimes it's kind of hard to believe when you're trying to explain yourself and get these stories out there, and then seeing is believing, because this thing was seen by a bunch of folks, right? And I'm going to kind of break down the story here for you real quick. So it says, let me see. It says, a luminous glow appeared in the night sky, catching the attention of beachgoers and locally alike. Suspended above the city was a flying saucer of metallic surface, reflecting the city lights in a glance, and it says, gazed amazement and echoed along the shoreline of the people, pointed at the unidentified craft hovering majestically over Rio de Janeiro. And it says here, news of the mysterious flying saucer spread like a wildfire, capturing the attention of the media, social networks, videos, photographs flooded the internet, showcasing this surreal scene unfolding above one of Brazil's beloved cities. This is the phenomenon witnessed by thousands, became an instant sensation, with speculations ranging from elaborate hoaxes to the possibility of extraterrestrial visitors. Right? So, and we know, man, that this is, for some reason, I don't know if it's you or me, but I look at a lot of these groups, and there's, I'm going to say about maybe 30% of a lot of these videos and photos come out of Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, right? And I believe me and Terry have talked about that area. It's kind of like there's a fault line around that area too, where it's like a hot spot for these extraterrestrial craft, right, that are up there hovering. And of course, there's those big those documentaries that somebody just put out there. I haven't seen it yet, but they say it's really good about that Brazil alien that crashed, and they ended up grabbing it from the ground, and one of the soldiers died because he touched its skin, right? And those are one of the things you're not supposed to do. You're not supposed to touch these things because of the biological pathogens that might come off of their skin. And of course, he died like about 3 weeks later or so because he touched this thing and he got real sick and he died. You know, and there's a lot of rules to these games, right? As far as like extraterrestrial out there, right? And we always try to share a lot of this information as possible, right, on these crafts. Now, I'm going to show you this quick video, and it was shared by this friend of mine, Anibal Caballero. He's one of the masters that we use for an analysis out there on UFOs and stuff. But he shared this video, and I caught it kind of strange. I've always seen the photos of this, and you guys probably have seen it out there as well. I've never actually seen the video. Now, and this is up to you to decide: is this an extraterrestrial craft that we have or we made back in the day, or is this a balloon, right? And I'm going to show you this video real quick. You guys decide. Let me know what you think. Now, I don't know if you guys have ever seen anything like that before, but strange as it is, it almost looks like a balloon, but why would it be shaped like this UFO craft, right? And we always talk about how the governments are involved, and there's these cover-ups that happen within our government, and not just ours, but all over the world. Other governments are involved too. And then these gentlemen come out, and they, this past year, and they kind of spilled out their beans in the hearts of UFOs and things that they saw. And then the people just, the government kind of like, okay, yeah, wow, that's what we want. We want the information. We want, disclosure. We want this. And it just stops right there. Right? Every freaking time it stops right here. And I don't get it. I don't get it why once it comes out, these people just kind of, they get parked. Now, I know David Grush, he's been kind of still going, but the other two guys, you didn't hear much of them anymore. And just kind of gets you wondering about that, did they just do it just for the moment? And just try to get the information out there. I don't know. I know they did. Their mind was in the right place, but I mean, everything just kind of came to a standstill. And I'm going to read, and then I'm kind of getting to a point here, because this just recently happened, and then we had, of course, the Nazca mummies in Mexico. We had a lot of disclosure that just took place. And, even Dr. Greer himself, he threw out a bunch of disclosure out there as well, in front of the government and everything like that, right? Try to bring it out there, and it gets shut down every time. And every time we think we're taking 2 steps forward, actually taking 4 steps back. And that is the hardest part of ufology, and to try to get disclosure, right? And I know it's like I talked about last week, security, reasons, whatever, but really in reality, I don't understand why they just don't say, hey man, all right, these things are out there. How do we not figure out what these things really are? Now, the reason I bring this to your attention right now is because there's an article. It's going to be from 2021, right? And it's going to pretty much tell you exactly what happened in 2021 with the Pentagon and extraterrestrials, right? And UFOs. And I'm going to throw this up on screen for you guys so you guys can check this out. So, and it says, a highly anticipated U.S. government report on UFOs has just been released, and this was in 2021, right? So it says the unclassified report was demanded by the Congress after numerous reports of the U.S. military vehicles seen moving across the sky erratically, right? So they were just kind of freaking out. They didn't know what they were seeing. And it says it also follows a cultural shift that the U.S. military saw political leadership go from extraterrestrial skeptic to ET curious. But when the conclusive evidence to confirm or deny the intergalactic visitations, it remains to be seen whether any Earthlings' minds will change. In other words, they're just kind of stuck in the same place, right? And it's just kind of telling you, military leaders warn the technology, if not alien, may belong to U.S. adversaries such as Russia or China. Here we go. Here we go, right? So they start, this was back then, so they start blaming they're going to blame other countries. Oh, they got this technology. We don't know what it is. They got this technology. And it could be vice versa. These other countries are probably saying the same thing about us. And it kind of brings you to the deeper state of it, because we see a lot of these Project Blue Books and everything that these shows, or even reading the material, there was a lot of knowledge of extraterrestrials, UFOs, things like that, right? And they just keep pointing the directions to other countries. We don't know if it's security. We don't know exactly what these things are. And mind you, this is in 2021, right? It says the U.S. UAP Task Force unclassified reports found that no clear indications that there are any non-terrestrial explanation for these aircrafts, but also they did not rule it out. It says possible explanations include common aerial objects like birds, drones, atmospheric phenomena like ice crystals, new developments by U.S. government or private entities, technologies developed by foreign adversaries to report, or includes a catch-all category, right? And it says officials examined 144 incidents from the past 2 decades, including 3 videos that the Pentagon declassified last year, showing unexplained aerial phenomenon. So, yeah, they're just kind of pretty much telling you back then, we hit a brick wall. We don't know what these things are, right? And then, fast forward 3 years later, here we go again, and we're hitting a brick wall again. So, you see what I'm trying to get at here? It's like, I don't care how far you go back, and you read a lot of these whistleblowers, right? What they're trying to do, things like that it all comes back and slapping them in the face. And it slaps us in the face, really, in reality, man. I mean, these guys, they're on the right track. They're doing their best to try to get this information out to us. But at the same time, it almost backfired. Like what I always say, it's like spitting in the wind, right? You're going to get hit back with it because we're not getting anywhere. And that's why I call this podcast, UFO 411, because it's what's happening here. What happens in your hometown, what happens in my hometown, what happens on their skies all over. These are the things that we as people have to try to figure out ourselves, because ain't nobody going to give us the answers but us, right? And luckily, next week I'm going to have these authors they're going to come on the show. And they're going to explain a lot of these things. They're going to talk about these things, I'm sure, because they're They're curious about the pilots inside of these craft. They're curious about the propulsion systems of these UFOs, right? We all are super curious about it, how these things fly. We talked about that orb on that story with the KGB, how these things kind of got together, these little ETs, and then they just turn into an orb. What does that, man? Right? So we are trying to get as much disclosure out as possible, and whether it's on any group, Facebook, Instagram, anything like that you see on X, all these places that you can find a podcast or just find the information, share it, man. Share it out there to as many people as possible, because and all it is just information, right, that we need to see, because they're not going to tell us anything. They haven't told us anything for a long time, and I don't think they're going to either. So it's always up to us to figure out exactly what we're seeing in the skies, how we're going to have to break these down ourselves. We got people out there there with their boots on the ground, with they're making vehicles that are grabbing the data of these extraterrestrial craft that are flying above us. They're getting the electromagnetic field readings, they're getting the air temperature readings, they're getting everything, trying to get all the different infrared spectrums if they can in that general area, right, to try to figure out what is happening, if there's a vacuum or anything that's happening above the sky in that general area where they're catching these UFOs or extraterrestrials, right? And that's the job of a ufologist, right? So you can't really call yourself a ufologist if you're not doing that, because that is a job of a ufologist. I think, me personally, if you're going to call yourself a ufologist, get your boots on the ground, go out there, go study the skies, take your videos, take your pictures, analyze a lot of these things, try to break it down as much as possible. You can be a studying ufologist. There's nothing wrong with that. But, get out there and put your boots on the ground, because you know what? All we have is us, man. And we have these podcasts and all these wonderful people that are spreading this general information about UFOs and everything like that, and it's for us to gain knowledge, right? Because without the knowledge, we ain't gonna know anything. And I give it up to a lot of these folks, these authors that write these books here. They know, disclosure, and they're trying to give you disclosure in their way and in their words. You have to go out there and read a lot of these books, not just watch a movie or anything. Read a book. These books give a lot of information. I was reading a few books back in the past. I gotta get real busy with my director and my movie making, but I'm getting back into reading, because when you start reading, you get a lot more information of a lot of this disclosure that's out there. And don't get me wrong, there's some different stuff out there that will kind of throw you off a little bit, but but once you start getting to read somebody's good stuff, and you're reading their knowledge, and this is all their research, right, that they're doing for ufology, and they're doing for you. So if you're watching this today, right, you're into ufology, right, or you want to know what's up or what's up there, right, and because you're curious, or else you wouldn't be watching this right now, or being on any groups if you weren't curious about it. So don't forget, we're going to have this upcoming podcast this coming Friday with authors Leslie and Stephen Shaw. All right, they're going to talk about their book, and they're going to talk about the pilots, how these what these UFOs about, what these little pilots are about, and they've had their boots on the ground for a while, so they would know more than you and I guess. So, and I'm going to ask them a bunch of questions. I will be live, and if you guys want to ask questions, you can ask questions too while we're doing the live podcast. So, you know what? I've talked long enough. I babbled long enough. I hope you guys enjoyed today's podcast. I just kept it a little short. I want to be informative. And if you do like this, give me a thumbs up, man. And go to our YouTube page. Hit us like and subscribe. Don't forget, the middle is on this weekend only for free. So go check that out before the part 2 comes out. It's going to be a good one. Part 2 is going to be an excellent one. So I hope you guys go and check that out. But until then, you guys have yourselves a good day. Have yourselves a good evening. And have yourselves a good night. Merry Christmas.